there was a trail, the beginning of, I don't even remember which one it was, the one that we went up there and Hefe took his Bronco on and wouldn't take it on that trail.
Cliffhanger.
No, the one further up the river. I don't remember what the name of it was.
Top of the World.
It was Cliffhanger. You're right. It was Cliffhanger. You're always right. The King of Moab, right here. So
you're the guy.
I've seen Rory tow a vehicle up this rock pile, and in the videos, I'm like, I would have never picked it out. And then when I got there, it's like driving off a house. Mm-hmm. And we're driving down this, driving up it. And I'm like, Rory is towing vehicles up this thing? Oh, my goodness.
I have a lot of people that come out to Moab now because they've seen my videos and they're like, we watch it for the scenery. And so we've come out to see the scenery. And they'll get one of the tours and they'll go out on Hell's Revenge and whatever. And then they come back and they'll swing by the shop and they're like, I watch all your videos, but I had no idea what you were pulling these vehicles up. They're like, the camera does not. I'm like, no, it never does.
That's how I've always felt. Like I've even seen like, I think some of the better videos was when like Whistle and Diesel took his, the Hilux down into that pit.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
that's where I had to get it out
that really shows the depth of it, where some videos like a little Jeep or a side-by-side are tough to really kind of grasp the size. Right. But that kind of showed a pretty good...
It's like watching the Olympics and being like, I could do that.
Yeah.
I don't think that guy's that much better than me.
watching football and yelling about how bad the quarterback is.
Yeah.
You're sitting there eating chips and you're like, I would have definitely done better.
Eating chips off your chest going, I could have thrown that ball better.
Patrick Mahomes is a real bum.
Yeah.
Is there anything like... Have you guys just abandoned anything? What's the legality behind that? Is it littering? If you just leave your car?
A lot of times it's going to be that way. There's going to be some fines if it's left there. We work together if there's something that makes sense if I'm like, oh, I've got to get some help in here. We've got other friends that are in the business that can help. So we're never going to give up. We've got network to do it. And sometimes, you got to get another head in there to think about what it is, but
we had to get one off of a mountain.
I was just going to say
that had rolled down. It had been down there for 4 years because nobody could go get it. And then I started doing my towing and doing all this, the off-road recovery thing, and the Forest Service actually reached out to me and was like, "Hey, so there's this Jeep at the bottom of this ravine. Do you think you can get it out?" And we went in there, and it took about 6 hours or so.
It was a good part of a day.
Yeah, we got it winched up out of there. We actually had to roll it back over.
You had to get a four-wheeler with it too.
It's still down there.
Oh, it is still.
Yeah,
down
there.
We'll be back.
Yeah, we're going back, but we had to. It was laying on its top. And we had to flip it over onto its side, and we took some control arm pieces up or some locating arms, and put the locating arms that had broke, we swapped them out with new ones, got the tire fixed and everything, and then got it back on its wheels and then winched it up the hill and got it out of there. But yeah, we had to do quite a bit of work to it just to make it movable because of how trashed it was.
And a lot of this, like, you get there, I'll get asked this, like, what's the plan? I'm like, I don't know yet. We're going to do the very first step first. We're going to fix these broken parts. Then we're going to... And then when that's done, what's next? We'll flip it on its wheels. Okay, then what's next? We'll do this next thing. And that's literally, you're just solving each problem individually, and before you know it, you got it up at the top. And you're
fixing the broken parts sounds like a whole headache in itself.
Well, you don't have to make it so it'll go on the freeway.
Well, and my truck has, we have onboard air, onboard welder, tools, scrap steel. I've literally cut parts off or cut metal off of my truck to weld it onto a rig just to get it off the trail because it's always easier to drive it out than to carry it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one of the first kind of concepts.
Yeah, like how can we
drive it out?
Especially where he's at. This? Some of these trails they're like 4-hour trails.
Yeah.
And so packing it out could turn it into like an 8-hour trail or longer.
Pritchett Canyon is 4 miles long. And if you're running quickly with capable rigs, it takes around 3.5 hours to do it.
And that's round trip back onto the road? So road to road 3 hours, or is that like
That's
road
It's
to where you want to
probably-
go and then back?
No, it's probably 4.5 if you run up to the end and back. So that's 8 miles.
8 miles.
In
It's funny because like it's
4
not
to
that
5
far at
hours.
least. So if you had to walk it, I guess it's possible.
Oh yeah, and we've done that before.
And that's
Yeah.
another thing that happens when we put the videos out. People think, and sometimes we are, but most of the time I'm not very far. I'm like within walking distance of home. And they're like, you are irresponsible. You didn't bring anything you needed. You could have died out there. I'm like, if I got hit by a meteorite, you're right. I would have. It would have been over.
See,
That'd
mine's
be
the
rough.
opposite way. I've gone out in the middle of the night and done recoveries with my daughter where we are completely cut off from the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, and
And it's different when that happens. We do, because I've got the Arizona Strip where it's 100 miles and there's no cell phone service out there. Everywhere in Utah, it seems like you can hike to a peak and get cell phone service. Get out on the Arizona Strip and that does not work.
Just nothing.
Yeah, so when you go out there, it's a very different way of preparing and making sure that you're not going to be spending the.
I'm sure the
night.
darkness without that light pollution that we normally get is just unreal.
Oh yeah,
dark.
We get like Florida's all light pollution. I'm not used to like no light pollution at all in the sky. I'm sure it's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. You can get out there to where, I mean, you can see every star.
Yeah, you can pick out all the satellites and everything. It's
That's
just
why a lot of times I run the lights on my truck, the flashing lights.
ugh.
I'll run those at night
Like a
because
cop?
yeah, I have. Well, they're amber and green, but I'll run them at night if I'm going out to get somebody, and especially if they're freaked out because they can see that coming from a long ways away, and it calms them down. I've heard that multiple times where they're like, we could see the lights and we knew somebody was coming.
Have you ran across somebody and you're like have to convince them that they're stuck and they need recovery? You're like, well, you're cruising back and they're like sitting there thinking they're gonna get out of it, and you're like, no, you're actually.
If they're stuck, I think they know it.
I feel like some people are like, oh, I'll keep working the wheel, like I'll get it.
It ain't gonna happen when they get. There's not too many places out there where if you're stuck in a Charger that you're gonna get out.
If you're in a Charger, I'd imagine it's like drag racing where it's pretty ego fueled when you're
Oh, yeah.
off-roading. You got a little bit of
Most
ego.
of these people are just. They're not car guys or nothing. They've got a rental car and they're gonna go see the arch and the Elephant Arch and they followed the GPS and they turned down this road and they drove down this sand hill and then they drove around till it wouldn't move anymore. And
What do the rental companies have to say about all this?
I actually get a lot of calls from rental companies because they know that we're in the area and that we'll get their car out without damaging it. So
Maybe they need to invest in not Chargers and like
Yeah.
actually. I
Well,
mean,
like
Jeeps will
Jeeps
probably get
only.
stuck too, but they'll just be on their roof.
See, and a lot of the rental companies that rent a vehicle in Moab that'll rent it without a trail guide, like a lot of the side-by-side companies have gone to, you rent a machine and you're driving it, but you have to follow their driver.
Okay.
So like they have a machine, you have
Yeah.
a machine, and you have to follow, then you can go out and do that. And my one buddy that owns a side-by-side company, he quit renting machines, and now they're all guided tours. And he lost $50,000 a year in income,
But he probably saved.
but saved more on not having a machine destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you got a bunch of Polarises, man, they're gonna probably need a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, the Kawasaki's, the Terexes are like the least machine we go get. And a lot of the rental
Really?
companies use those and just beat them. The one company will literally drive them till a ball joint breaks. And then we go get it and haul it back to their shop. Then they replace that one ball joint and then run it again till
Send
the
it
next
right
one
back
breaks.
out.
That's funny because when those came out, they were kind of like made fun of by all the real side
Oh,
by
they
siders.
just go like crazy. They're
just
awesome
a rental
machines.
unit.
Yeah, they're awesome machines.
Because it seems like now the Can-Ams and Polarises are so fast, but it's hard to justify those things going to beat them off road when they're 60 grand.
That's the thing. So many people build them for the dunes.
they're
and stuff, and
$50 a month.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what.
That's what they're looking at.
They run them like crazy, but any machine just doesn't hold up to the rocks out there. Like I mean, you can jump one of the sand dunes, you can do anything you want, but you take it out to Moab and get it on the rocks, and it tears that machine up fast.
Well, down here we have a lot of mud. So
Yeah.
that is so hard on machines. You use it for 3 hours and you spend the next 2 days cleaning it.
Right.
Because it's just caked. Everything you touch is
Well,
mud.
it's so many people bring their machine up there from down here.
Yeah.
And they've got the portals and the big giant the mud tires and all this. And they come out there and like, this is the baddest machine you've ever seen. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then I'm going to get them in an hour.
Well, where's the ponds and mud?
But like a lot of the rental Jeeps are all tracked, GPS tracked. And if you go onto a trail that they have deemed you're not supposed to be on, you will get like a super large fine when you get back.
So what percentage of this stuff is rental rescue versus like, what would you guess is like rental versus like some guy that just kind of got in over his head?
Different for both of us, I think.
Yeah,
I have a really high rental ratio because, like I said, Zion's there. I'm not rescuing off-roaders in general. I'm rescuing the opposite of that. So, yeah, it's just rentals. It's cars, Jeeps, trucks, mostly cars, and then we have the rental side-by-sides. Unlike where he's at, ours are they just turn you loose, and most of them, if we go get them, they've been out for less than 20 minutes.
Guys, thank you for tuning in to the Bogetti Clips YouTube channel. For the full podcast, check us out on Bogetti Studios YouTube and all your audio platforms. Also, hit that subscribe button to not miss out on any of the new Bogetti clips coming up.